Welcome to the Double Dribble podcast with Dubin and Dakil. That's Jared Dubin, author of Last Night in Basketball. Make sure you're following him along all socials and subscribing to his newsletter, Last Night in Basketball. He does a great job. I'm not just saying this because he's my podcast partner. I've known this before we were podcast partners. He does a phenomenal job kind of recapping the things that have happened, always pulling clips of stuff that caught his eye. It's always interesting. You will learn something. Make sure you subscribe to Last Night in Basketball newsletter. I'm Mo Dakil, who is, not going to lie to you, currently eating a malasada. If you're from Hawaii or have been to Hawaii, you know about it. I will be working the mute so you don't hear me chew. I'll also be on NBA TV on Saturday, doing a halftime and post game. And just turn on NBA TV on Saturday. You'll see me. Basically, is the gist of it. Not going to plug much else because I do want to get to this piping hot malasada, but we asked for questions. You responded. So we appreciate everybody who asked questions. Hopefully we get to your question. If we don't, we apologize. But before we get started with that, Jared, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Thank you for the kind words about Last Night in Basketball. It's always much appreciated. I advise everyone to watch NBA TV on Saturday as well. That would be much appreciated for you and for, I'm sure you're on with Zach and Alexis again, probably as usual. So I'm sure they'd appreciate it as well. And please, before we get to the questions and whatnot, subscribe to the podcast on all of your different podcast platforms, Apple, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you get your podcasts. And give us those 5-star ratings. Leave the comments. We'll get back to you in there as well. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And we can get to some questions. I think we should probably talk about Nikola Jokic's injury first, though, right? Like, at least for a little bit.
Yeah, kind of a big deal. And before we even get to that, I should just shout out Leonard's Malasada truck, because these things are amazing. And normally I'd be much more professional, but we got them fresh and hot, so you got to eat them when they're hot.
Maybe they could sponsor the show.
That would be pretty interesting, and it would be really bad for my health. Jared, so it was actually really shitty news. Jokic goes down, looks like he gets his knee rolled up on, goes down, it kind of has to hobble off the court in Miami. This is after they lose a tough game in Orlando the night before. And basically we're all sitting on pins and needles. Right, we're all like, dude, don't be an ACL, don't be out for the year, don't be this. The good news is it's not an ACL, it's a hyperextension of his knee, which is generally a bone bruise from what I read from Jeff Stotts, who, if you want injury stuff, like, that's the guy you have to go to whenever somebody goes down. He gives you all the best information.
That's in street clothes, either on Twitter or any social media site, or just instreetclothes.com.
Yeah, he does a phenomenal job. Make sure you're kind of, if you want to be up to date on like what these injuries mean, he does a pretty good job with that. So it sounds like he's going to be out 4 weeks. It's kind of a saving grace here in the sense of like, yo, it's not an ACL, he's not out for the year. But like the Nuggets before this injury were down 3 starters, now down 4th, and probably their most important starter.
Probably.
Yeah, as you're right. That was actually, no. Absolutely their most important starter. I mean, this is obviously a pretty big blow.
Yeah, I mean, not just it's probably the most important starter in the league to a team. I mean, there's a reason the guy was not necessarily cruising to the MVP award, but looking like the leader in the MVP race during the early portion of the season. He is the best player in the world. We've all been kind of agreed on that over the last several years, even though Shea won the MVP last year. But the Nuggets kind of don't function correctly without him. Granted, they have a little bit more of a chance of surviving without him this year than they did in the previous few years, just by virtue of the fact that they got Jonas Valanciunas, and they can have a center who is functional and able to not anchor the offense, but at least give them something on the offensive end, where that hasn't necessarily been the case over the last few years. But if he's out for the entire month of January, they've got 18 games, including today, between now and January 31st. Can they go 9-9 without him? I don't know. I do know they have 5 games during that stretch against Brooklyn, Washington, and Charlotte. So if they can win those 5 games, they only have to go 4-9 in the other 13. But I'm also not sure they can win all 5 of those games. But
Don't sleep
it's
on
depressing.
Brooklyn. Number 1 defensive rating team in December.
know.
Don't sleep on Brooklyn, man.
No spoilers, but we're going to talk about Brooklyn in a little bit, just because that's one of the questions that I chose. But yeah, it's depressing. And look, if he misses all 18 of those games, he can't be the MVP because you can only miss 17 games and be eligible for postseason awards. Which real bang up job here, guys. It's just great.
Yeah, this is actually going to, I think, cause change in the 65 game rule. Not necessarily for MVP, but I think it's going to cause change for like all NBA. You're going to tell me if he plays 64 games and comes back and plays at the level that he's been playing at, he's not one of the best 15 players in the NBA. Like that's where I kind of feel like they need to kind of tweak the rule here a little bit. It goes to what I always say about the NBA. Whenever they try to fix a problem, they might fix the problem but create another one. It's the cartoons of like plugging a hole in a dam and then the next one pops up. Like it's just there's always kind of that situation. I think in the moment, if I remember, the 65 game rule when it came into effect, I don't think anybody really thought it was a great rule. I understood the reasoning.
Didn't.
Yeah. Understood the reasoning, but we also kind of understood the unintended consequences that were going to come from it. And here's one of them. We're one of the best players on the planet. We're going to, if he misses, doesn't play 65 games, we're going to say he's not one of the best 15 players on the All NBA team. Like, I have a lot of problems with that. And he was, to me, the front runner for MVP.
And look, games played can and should matter in these kind of discussions, but you should just trust the people that vote to incorporate that.
Yeah.
Like, they're fully capable of saying, Jokic played this many games, Shea played this many games, or Giannis or Luka or Cade or Jalen Brunson or Anthony Edwards or whoever played this many games, and therefore I'm weighing that in this way. Like, let the people make the decision of how to weigh that. I tend to use minutes more than games just because guys play a different number of minutes per game, but it's the same principle. Like, if someone plays 10, 20% more minutes than another guy, that matters to me. It's not determinative necessarily, but it matters. And I think we should be able to trust the voters to incorporate that.
And I think the other thing, too, when we talk about Jokic in particular, he's been an Iron Man. Like, he's played, without looking at the numbers, I'd have to guess, above 90% of the number of possible games he could have played. Like, I don't remember a lot of games where he's sat out, where he's missed. This is probably going to be the longest stretch of injury time that he's going to have had. I mean, like, and this is a big deal for Denver. And this will be kind of interesting. I'm intrigued to see how they handle it, especially Jamal Murray, who I think has started out great. This is the best start to a season I think Murray's had in a very long time, to the point where I think he can be an all-star. He's got to this is to make the case now to be an all-star moment for him. And I think it's going to be really important for him. And thank God they got Jonas Valanciunas. I don't think he's the best or anything, but like, at least, could you imagine if this happened last year and their backup was DeAndre Jordan?
Or Dario Saric.
Well, he wasn't even going to play. Like, Michael Malone was not going to be playing him at all in that sense.
Zeke Naji would probably be getting the big minutes.
Yeah. And that's your big man rotation now, is Jonas Valanciunas and Zeke Naji. Do you have any idea when the other guys are coming back? Like Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown? Like, are they getting any of the... I know Cam's out for a while as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen whatever the most recent updates are. I know that there were all considered fairly long-term injury, or like medium-term, I guess, injuries, like 4 or 6 weeks from when they were out.
They got to be... Gordon's got to be close to Cummins back. Well, neither here nor there. It's Jokic. This is a massive blow. It's a massive blow to the NBA. It's a massive blow to the Nuggets. And it sucks for the rest of us. Like, that's really he's so fun to watch.
I did check, by the way, he's played at least 69 games in every season of his career.
Yeah. I mean, that's... All right. Well, I mean, it's a bummer of a way to start. But again, we should also be thankful it wasn't an ACL. He's not out for the year. It's, he can kind of, maybe we get a more arrested Jokic at the end of the season based off of this. I don't know.
That would be terrifying.
That sucks for some of the other teams, but the Nuggets got to hold on. And I think a 9-9 would be amazing if they can stay 500 in that stretch.
I'm kind of skeptical, but that's kind of what they need to. And look, 4 weeks is the minimum that he's going to be out. We don't know that he's going to be ready 100% to return at that point. Like, that's what he's going to be reevaluated. That tends to be the short end of the timeline these days. They'll be reevaluated in X number of weeks. That doesn't mean they'll be back in X number of weeks.
It sucks because the Thunder play the Nuggets February 1st. And that was a game one of the games I was most looking forward to this season. And now it's just like, damn, he's not even going to be, most likely not going to be playing in that game.
Yeah, definitely sucks.
Okay, well, I hope you have, and for just folks who know, like, Jared does all the work on the podcast. I just eat malasadas. He pulled all the questions. I trust his taste. So thank you, Jared, for doing that. I've not seen the questions. What you got?
First one, and we've talked about this a little bit, but I did want to bring it back because it's been a few weeks. This is from Josh. Are the Boston Celtics actually contenders in the East, and is Jaylen Brown's play sustainable?
I would say no and yes in that sense. I'm not convinced yet that they're actual contenders in the East. Now, the one thing I'd say is the East is wide open, right? It is wide open in the way that they're kind of set up. I worry sometimes with their, Kata's been great. I don't know how much that will play into the whole. We have to see a whole season kind of that in the way he's playing and things like that. I do wonder about their big man rotation. They've been better than I think most of us expected. I don't remember what your early prediction was. But
I had them as being like a little bit better than the default expectations.
Okay, so you were a little higher. I think I was pretty low on them, mainly because they're big man rotation.
I remember I went on the on Real GM with Wes and I think Esparahani from The Athletic, and we were all talking about the Celtics, and I was like way out on a limb as being much higher than them than those guys were. But I wasn't this high on them. I wasn't like they're going to be third or fourth in the Eastern Conference. I was like, I think they can maybe avoid the play-in.
Right. I think they're third right now, 20-12 at the time we're recording. They just beat Utah last night. Like, they're a very good team. I think I'm just not. I don't know if I'm just there yet to call them a contender. What Brown is doing is phenomenal, and this is kind of. Again, every year he gets better and better as he goes, and this year is the year he gets to be the true number one. With it's not 1A and 1B, or he's kind of got to defer to Tate. It's all been him. I still wish he was a little bit of a better playmaker. He's gotten marginally better at that, but not fully at that level. But he's been amazing. I think what he's doing is sustainable. I just don't know if they're a contender.
I think what Jalen's doing as a playmaker is better than I expected. I just expected the turnovers to be so much higher with him having to expand his role as a playmaker. And he does have the highest assist rate of his career, and the turnovers haven't gone up very much. The one thing I think is not sustainable about his play, he's not going to shoot 57% on deep mid-range jumpers the entire season. He's a 41% shooter on those shots for his career, and he's taking way more of them than ever before. But if he gets down into the mid to high 40s, that's still really good.
Still great, yeah.
Yeah, and it still keeps him playing at a pretty damn high level. So I would say that what he's done so far is pretty sustainable, but not entirely, just based on that one specific thing. I'm with you on the Celtics, where they're probably in like the sub-contender level. I think they're like a rung below the Knicks in the Eastern Conference, but are they one of those teams that could make the conference finals? Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, the conference finals, I think, in the East is a little bit up for grabs. Some of it depends on how much do you believe in Detroit, right? Are the Cavs ever going to turn this around? And that was a big win for them against San Antonio. by the way. That was a pretty impressive win. I think the other side of it, too, is like, you know, Orlando's not as good as we thought. Atlanta's completely fallen off.
Oh God, I was so wrong about the Hawks.
We all were. We all were. I think the only person I think who wasn't was Zach Harper, which is even more annoying.
Well, Zach's motto is never trust the Hawks. So
yeah. So, but then I have to hear about it over and over again. It's but I think but in general, like I think the East making the conference finals would be a win for them. I think in that area, I think the Knicks still beat them in a playoff series. That's even if Tatum comes back, because coming back from an Achilles injury, like I'm very hesitant to just be like he's going to come back, and everybody's like, if he just gives us 80% of what he was, I feel like it's tough to just think he's going to come back and give you 80%. So I have questions. Yeah, well, I mean, even if he comes back, like I guess what's I don't know what his official target date. It's never been announced, but there's always
there is no
like
official
February.
Target date as of like Brett Stevens keeps saying there's no timetable.
But like, there's always talk of like February or something like that, or March. He's going to come.
Which
that's not enough time.
Like, January, February, that talk is crazy to me.
It's insane.
He tore his Achilles in May. Like, in general, that's been like a 12-month injury for most guys. Have there been some guys that came back a little before that, 10, 11 months? Yeah. But, man, I think it would be crazy for him to come back in the next month or so. That seems nuts to me.
I'm terrified of it, but we'll see how that kind of plays out. But for me, again, I could see them upsetting the Knicks. Like, let's just be honest. The Knicks are the Knicks. They can do something stupid. But like, I'm not there yet to put them at the contender status.
Yeah, neither am I. Not yet, at least. All right, from Miles Davis Morales, which nice pair of puns there, or not puns, but
Spider-Man
references.
And it's Spider-Man and Miles Davis.
Yeah. I know the real answer is matchup dependent, but in a vacuum, who do you think the Rockets' closing five should be in a tight playoff game?
I mean, obviously KD Şengün and Amen Thompson are like locks, right? I don't think there's any debate about those three guys.
No.
After that, I think it's Jabari Smith. I like the way Jabari's been playing this season. I think he's done a really good job of kind of not just being a spot-up guy, but picking his moments to really kind of be a little bit more aggressive in the offense. I think he's done a good job kind of playing that balance. I think there's more to his game than people realize, and I don't know if he will get those opportunities in Houston with the way the roster is set up. But, like, that's a great guy for them to have. So I think he's their fourth guy. And it's tough for me, but I think I'm going to go Tari Eason. He's done a great job shooting. I want the defense. It's Tari over Reed Shepherd. I know I'm losing playmaking a little bit with Reed and ball handling. But, like, the defense is so important at the end of games, and coming up with stops, I think, is something we tend to forget about. Close games, we tend to think of, like, who's going to get us a bucket, and that definitely matters. But it also comes down to, like, can we get a bucket and a stop? Mm-hmm. And I think those are the stop part matters. And he's shooting it well enough where I'm like, I think I go with Eason.
Yeah, I'm going a little bit further where I would say I think there's probably four locks. Like, I think Jabari Smith is probably a lock for the fourth spot. And then you have three options for the fifth spot, whether it's Tari Eason, Reed Shepherd, or Steven Adams. Mm-hmm. And I do like the cop-out answer is it is context dependent, right? Like, Are you trying to hammer the offensive glass? Are you trying to play a little bit better defense? Do you need another ball handler or shooter out there? It is context dependent. I think that Eason probably the split gives you the best of both worlds, where you have a guy that can shoot out there, but he can also hit the offensive glass and he can also help you on defense. So I might lean in that direction as well. But depending on how Shepherd plays over the rest of the season, I might be willing to change my mind and have him be that fifth guy if he shows that he can, like, hang night to night on defense, and if he shows more, as a pick and roll ball handler or a guy who can be the screener in ball screen situations, screening for KD, screening for Amen Thompson, like, it gives you a little bit more variety offensively. I think for now, I'm probably with you on it should probably be Eason, but depending on what Reed Shepard shows the rest of the way, I could easily be convinced to change my mind.
And I also want to point out, like, I don't necessarily feel like you have to have a set closing five, right? Like, I go back to probably a little polarizing as a coach nowadays, but Frank Vogel with the Lakers, you know, when they were really good, he didn't have a set closing five. It was whoever was rolling. He felt more. He had the specific guys, the locks that were going to play, and then if there were other guys that he felt more in the moment in that game, had a run. And I think that having that versatility is a nice thing. Like, that's a great thing for the Rockets to have in the way you kind of laid it out perfectly. 3 different guys that can give you totally different things that you might need more in this crunch time, right? Like, if you're down and need to get into this game in a hurry, maybe you're playing Reed Shepard because his ability to shoot the 3 balls more consistent, and you need to get a couple threes up quickly. Like, maybe that's what it is. Maybe you do need to hit the offensive glass more, so you're going Adams. Maybe you want to thread the needle and do both. Like, I think they're in a really good position to be in, where they should also kind of even experiment with it through the course of the season.
Yeah, and they could even go like Josh Okogie or Aaron Holiday or whoever if they're playing well on any given night. Or they could say we're not going to play Jabari. We're going to play 2 of Eason, Adams, Shepard, whoever else. Like, there are plenty of options there. The reason that we both had to pick a 5 was because this question acknowledged that it is context dependent, but if you had to choose in a vacuum, so that's what we're doing, where the real answer is it is context dependent, but we're trying to give you our best answer that we can here.
Yeah. What's the next one?
Next one's from Ben. What would you do if you ran the Nets? Porter has blossomed. The young guys are showing real signs. Jordy is such a good coach. Do you lean more into the tank and trade Porter, or switch paths and try to make the playoffs?
Fire Jordy Fernandez. He keeps fucking up my tanking job. Like, God, man. What are you doing, Jordy? No, I think obviously I'm joking, by the way. I wouldn't fire Jordy. He's been phenomenal. I wouldn't switch the path to the playoffs. Like, I just wouldn't go that route. I think, right now I would see what the market is for MPJ. What can I get in terms of assets for him and things like that? And it sucks because I know the team's playing well right now. They're actually they're a bit more fun in the way they're rolling. They're not a gimme like they were at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. I think, but for this team right now, I think they need to actually kind of tank for one more year. And I hate tanking in general, but like, I think they just need to kind of see what they got with all these young guys, experiment, play with it. You drafted 5 rookies. Let's see what you have with all that stuff. See what you can sell high on Porter, because I don't think his value will get any higher than it is now. And then, kind of hope you get the lottery gods are in your favor, and you can kind of get one of these top 3 picks in this draft. I think that's kind of where I'm at for them, because they're not going to do anything in the playoffs. And the thing is, this isn't a team. Let me just wait. If Portland makes the play-in and the playoffs, like, that makes sense to me, because this is an up-and-coming team. This team isn't up-and-coming yet. They're not even at that stage yet. And I think that matters to me, where if they make the playoffs, I don't feel confident, or even the play-in, I don't feel confident that they'll make it again next year.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, I'm on and look, they're 3 games back of Atlanta in 10th. Like, it's not that far, but it's also not that close. Like, they're 10-20. This is not a remotely good basketball team.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be pivoting toward trying to make the playoffs or the play-in. Like, to me, like, just let Jordy continue to cook, see if he can keep these guys playing good defense as he has throughout the month of December. Like you mentioned earlier, number 1 defense in December ahead of the Thunder, which makes no sense on really any level whatsoever, but is happening. I would check in, or at least gauge the market on Michael Porter Jr. If you can get real assets, like first-round pick type assets for him, then yeah, I would try to cash in on that. But if you can't, like, there's nothing wrong with keeping him around. Like, you're still going to be a pretty bad team. You're not going to be a walking disaster team where there's, like, no reason to watch you. Like, that's already out the window. We've seen enough flashes from the young guys. We've seen enough from Porter. Like, there are reasons to watch this team, and there are intriguing things there, which is nice to have for any fan. And Fernandez, like, very obviously, you've hit on a very good coach, and that's a good foundation for the future. And if you can continue playing defense, that's a good foundation for the future as well. But there's not enough there probably offensively to win enough games that you're going to ruin, quote unquote, the tanking plans. Like, you're probably still going to have one of the 5, 6, 7 worst records in the league. And like you said, you hope the lottery gods smile upon you and reward you for not being, an epic disaster like some of the other teams are.
Yeah, I just don't rush the process in this way, and I hate that.
In either direction, right?
Yeah,
you don't have
either
to push
way,
it too far in either way.
Just let it play the way it is. Let Jordy coach the team, and you're right. Like be reasonable about what you're gonna. If you're gonna get something that you think's a good haul for Porter, then you do it. But you don't have to go trade him. Like, I don't feel like that's a must. In the way that you need to go. You brought him in because you were going to trade him in. Like, just see what you have. I think they're in a good trajectory in general. Like, I think they're in the start. They nailed the coaching hire.
Yep.
Right. Like, I think Jordy's a great coach. I think they've nailed that right off the bat. And now they got to kind of build the team now around him. And it might take a little more time, and you're going to have to be patient with it. And then you're going to have times where you're going to have a great December. And look at it, and a great December, I mean, like, you're going to see certain things click. It wasn't a December filled with wins. But in general, it was a good run, and I think that's something that they got to kind of build upon. I don't think they need to change their plans at this point.
They did go 7-4 in December. Like, I think.
Sorry, I was wrong. That's a great December for them. Sorry, let me rephrase that. That was great December.
There's no way they only played 7 games in December.
Well, because it's
or 11 games. Sorry.
It's because there's a break because of the
cup.
The cup, and it screws you up all the time because that week where the cup is, like, every team just played twice.
Yeah. So yeah, 7-4 in December, and they don't play today as we're recording this. So 7-4 in December, good for them, man. Next up, we've got 2 questions from Grouchy Math Teacher, but we'll take the first one first. If the percentage of long twos keeps dropping, why doesn't some bad to middling defensive team commit to playing zone as their base defense all season? No corner threes, no catch and shoot threes, and no layups. Everything else go nuts.
If you're a bad middling defensive team, you don't have the discipline to do that.
Right.
Like, let's just be honest. Like, I don't think people understand how hard zone defense is. I think we kind of make it seem like, I think that the concept of it, people think it's kind of easy. It's an extremely difficult defense. It's extremely difficult to rebound out of it. It's hard to cover everything, right? And it takes a lot of communication, a lot of trust with your teammates in terms of rotating, and ball goes to the wing, this guy comes out, he gets bumped down to the corner, and it's like there's a whole bunch of different moving parts within that defense that I think bad defenses in general, or middling defenses, as the question put it, don't have that discipline to do that. Like, I think when you look at the teams that do well in zone defenses, they're generally well-disciplined teams, like, understand what they're doing in that process. So I think it's even more difficult for that type of team to do that. I understand what you're saying. Hey man, I always would say it, right? Take away the three, take away the rim, and give up the mid-range is kind of the philosophy for some of these teams. It's still really difficult to do it, and there are still guys that hit the mid-range at a pretty high clip. Like, I know the number of percentage of attempts have gone down, but, like, I would love to see what the field goal percentage is. And maybe I'm wrong and it's not good, but, like, I still think there's an area where you're going to get hurt in that sense. And then once you start getting hurt there, you're going to get hurt everywhere.
Yeah. I would also say it's really tough to set it if you don't score on the previous possession, whether it's a missed shot or a turnover or a missed free throw or whatever it is. It's really tough to come back and just set yourself in zone, especially with the areas that you want specific guys to be covering. Like, you want your big guys to be in the back of the zone, but they're the last guys to get back on defense a lot of times because they're lower on the floor on offense, and then all of a sudden you're not really able to get into the positions that you want to get because you're trying to get back on defense and cover man. Like, you can't really play zone transition defense.
No,
Like,
that's not a thing. That's not a thing. That's not a thing, right? Transition defense is stop ball, cover man, cover rim. Like, that's kind of the sort of where you're at. I think also the other side of it too with some of these zone defenses, right? Like, you have to have an elite big man to be able to handle a lot of that stuff. Like, I think Rudy Gobert being an elite rim protector, made it easier for you to play zone for a while because he was there to erase your shots. It's easier for San Antonio to play zone when you have the slender man, kind of just constantly with his go-go gadget arms and his length and reach makes it harder, like I think for offenses. I think there's a level of like personnel you need as well that can handle the zone. Like the Celtics ran a great zone and the big man they used a lot of time was Drew Holiday. Yeah, freaking dude should have won Defensive Player of the Year a few times in his career. That's how freaking good he is defensively. You need that kind of high level guy to kind of help sort of quarterback it. So it's a lot harder than I think people realize, and I blame it partly because we always just whenever we coach kids we run a 2-3 zone.
Yeah, it's not the zone that you're used to from like when you were playing rec leagues as a kid. That's not the kind of zone that you would be able to play in the NBA. I would also say there are zone principles played on every single possession of defense in the NBA these days. And again, it's not the kind of zone that you're used to. It's way more complicated. Like to the point that even people like us who are in, the 90th or 90 whatever percentile of understanding things just because it's literally our job to understand things. And in your case, it was your job to be in the league. Like, we still don't understand all of the high-level stuff that they're doing zone defense-wise in the NBA, and we understand a lot more than most people. It's just not possible for us to get to the level of understanding that actual coaches and players have.
There were times some of these defenses were so bad we couldn't tell if it was man or zone. Like, it was in the way that some of these teams were organized or set up, would be like, is that's zone, right? Like, and that's after having watched like 100 clips of this team's defense going like.
I will say when you were a video coordinator, it was probably not zone. Teams just didn't play like actual zone defense. Like, they've played more zone defense over the last several years, but it's still only like 7-8% of possessions league wide or something like that.
And by the way, zone defenses as just your base, this ain't college, man. It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work over 82 games. Teams are gonna figure you out and figure out the spots in the zone to attack. Like, it's we're seeing more zone, but I don't think we'll ever see a team entire defense or base defense be primarily zone defense. I just don't think we'll ever actually see that.
I do wonder if there's a coach that can figure out a way to do it, though. Like, if there's a coach that can teams should definitely be getting weirder defensively to combat the elite offensive environment that we're in. And if there's a coach that can figure out a way to weaponize zone as the base defense and be ahead of the curve and figure something out like that, that would be a significant structural advantage over other teams who are still defensively playing catch up to offenses.
It can't be one type of zone. That's the deal, right? Because it's like if you want to actually be really good with zone defense, it's being able to switch between 3 different zones almost like seamlessly. 3 possessions,
and within,
this one.
Not just like possession to possession, but like within the same possession.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be like an amoeba.
Right. Like, that was something the Thunder did actually a really good job early in their run. Not last year, but the year before, where they would actually play you man for like half of offensive possession and then quietly switch into like a send a double and then zone up the rest of the stuff. Like, they would kind of play that a little bit differently, and I think that's where that's the area that I think teams could, if they could try to unlock. But damn, that's so damn tough, man.
Yeah. All right, next question here is from Soup Loop.
Oh, didn't Grouchy have 2 questions?
Oh, okay, yeah, I missed that one. Okay, also from Grouchy. Seems like the Mavs are taking a lot of grief for trying to play Cooper Flagg at point guard, and we've talked about this a bunch. Is it possible that the Mavs knew he would struggle at point guard, but it would set him up to be a better all-around player later, aka Giannis or Zion? This is exactly what we talked about before the season, and it was something that I was kind of in on. And I'm going to say no. They didn't know that it was going to go like this.
No, and it's and first off, like Giannis is an absolute freak, right? In the way that he plays now. And by the way, I still don't think you'd play him now as a point guard. I know he's kind of de facto. He runs off screens and stuff like that, but he's not really your point guard in that sense. In the way you're going, the way and Zion, I mean, with the injuries and everything, like I wouldn't even have used him as an example. With that, I know we talked point Zion and stuff like that. I thought it was really arrogant. First off, and by the way, everybody was saying it when they were doing it. Well, he had success with Giannis. Jason Kidd had success with Giannis, so automatically he's gonna having success one time. The only time you tried it doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna work the next time. The other side
And
of it too
it
was
didn't work when Giannis was the point guard. It worked
but
later when he developed those skills.
right, but he gets the credit because he did it early. Is basically the way everybody kind of treats it. I think their mistake was actually kind of misidentifying Cooper's skills right off the bat, and maybe they've corrected it. Let's give them credit in that they've kind of corrected that and have gone away from that. They need to let him just kind of develop his game in general, and then from there, then you start to when I worked with Chip England in San Antonio, one of the first things he said to me is like, I rarely mess with a rookie shot. Right? I rarely tweak their stuff. I let them
It's
go.
funny that you're bringing this up because he's going to come up soon.
Oh boy. It's and he's like, I let them go through the year and then we work on it. Because I need to see everything that they have and where we need to kind of fix things. I can't start fixing stuff right off the bat without knowing what all the problems are and where he's at. And also as a rookie, a million things are thrown at you. Cooper Flagg's played. I mean, have they played close to 30 games now, right? Or just over 30.
I
That's
think
a
every
college
game's
season.
more than 30 now, yeah.
Yeah, that's a college season. He's did that in 2 months. He's not used to this. Like there's a whole element of that stuff. I would have loved to have seen them kind of like I like Jason Tatum's development. Right? The way he's kind of grown and now he's kind of got those playmaking skills in a way that also works with his game and didn't pigeonhole him. I think it was a mistake for the Mavs to think just because Jason Kidd had success with Giannis and success quote unquote, we should do the same with Cooper Flagg. They're also massively different players in the way their skill sets are.
Yeah, I like the comparison to Tatum as a cleaner development path for Flagg. I think that makes sense to me. The other difference between the Giannis thing and the Flagg thing is that they weren't doing it when Giannis was a rookie. You know, it was a couple of years into his career after he had already had a chance to develop some skills at least, whereas Flagg is coming into the league and being asked to do that like while making the transition to the NBA and all of the other ways that you have to make the transition to the NBA. And it just did not work and did not make sense. And that was something that I personally didn't account for enough when talking about how I thought it was okay at the beginning of the season that they were going to try that experiment. So, yeah, I don't think that this was necessarily the plan.
You're right.
So the reason I was laughing when you brought up Chip England is because of this next question, which is from Soup Loop. Which team that isn't named Spurs or Thunder has the best developmental or shooting coaches?
Yeah, that's Chip. He's got his touch on both hand on both of those. Fred Vinson had a lot of success.
He's with the
New
Pistons
Orleans.
now.
Yeah, and he had a lot of success in New Orleans. Like, look at the shot improvement from Lonzo Ball. I think he had a lot of credit for Lonzo's 3-point shooting. With that, you have to look at the Toronto Raptors over the years, and I think they might have. Raptors fans don't get mad, but I think they might have taken a little bit of a dip recently. But over the years, they've done a really good job developing guys. Miami always develops guys. Miami always has a couple of guys where we're like, where did they find this freaking guy? And they're doing well. So they have a pretty strong development crew. I don't know, man. I think that's kind of the starting point for me. I'd have to give it a little deeper thought. I think you got to look at Utah right now with some of their guys, kind of the way like Keontae George has taken a leap and things like that. They definitely got something going. And Boston, we just talked about Tatum's development. Like, it'd be negligent to not mention them as well.
Yeah. With the shooting coaches specifically, I went with the fact that the guys that I actually know their names is evidence that they're good shooting coaches. So the fact that everyone knows who Chip Engelland is, and that's why, presumably, why Stooploop brought this up. Fred Vinson, like you said, Rob Fodor, who I think is still with the Heat, if I'm remembering correctly.
I think so.
And Peter Patton with the Knicks, who has really helped Josh Hart in this year in particular, that I know they've mentioned. I don't know who the Knicks shooting coach was last year, but OG Anunoby better from three as well. Like I said, the fact that I know their names is evidence enough that they're good, because you're probably not going to know the names of shooting coaches unless there's like a specific guy who gets better enough at shooting that someone lets you know who these guys are.
Yeah, they don't bring up the guys who's like, when somebody takes a terrible looking shot, they go like, he's responsible for that. They don't bring.
We don't know who the shooting coach in Charlotte was when Michael Kidd-Gilchrist was there.
Right, exactly.
Because that shot didn't get fixed.
Right, the reasons behind that. By the way, fixing a shot is one of the hardest things for a player to do. When you have to change your form, one, it's muscle memory. Two, the other thing, and this is the thing I don't think people really understand the stuff, and I gained appreciation actually talking to Chip about this when I was in San Antonio. The psychology of it. I'm changing how you're going to shoot, how you're going to move your arms, and things like that. You have to understand you're going to miss thousands of shots before this feels normal, before this feels right, and before you start to see success. You have to be okay with that. Like, you have to be okay with, hey, like, it might take me an hour to make 10 in a row. There's a level of, like, tough psychology in understanding I'm going to be so bad at this for so long that I have to keep practicing at it until I'm good. And you have to be willing to handle that mentally. And I think that's a hard thing I don't think people fully grasp when we talk about changing somebody's shot.
Yeah, I have experience with this, unfortunately. Like, when I played when I was younger, I used to be very small, and I used to shoot from, like, down here, like, near my chin, because that was the only way I could get the ball up there. When I grew, I'm 6 foot now, my AAU coach changed my shot and had me release from up here, and my shot just never recovered. It just wasn't able to work the same way. My body didn't work the same way. This is leagues different than anybody changing their shot in the NBA. Like, even making the comparison is ridiculous. But just the fact that, like, it's so hard to rewire your muscle memory to move a shot. Like, I had to move mine really far, so that's a little bit different. But just to change, like, if you change the position of your hand on the ball, if it's on the side and you move it to the bottom, or if it's on the bottom and you move it a little bit to the side so you can get, like, a better wrist flick on it. Or if your elbow was out to the side and you try to move that and tuck it in. Like, it is so hard to rewire your body and your brain, especially, to be able to do something like that. And like you said, the mental aspect of it, too, is really difficult. One thing I've always wanted to do was, like, embed with a shooting coach who was changing a player's jumper and, like, try to go along the process with them and write about it. But I don't necessarily know how I'd be able to do that. But I think it would be a really cool story.
It'd be a great story. I wrote something for Bleacher Report a while back about it. Interviewed Aaron Gordon about it as well, and just kind of the work he had to do to improve his shooting. And it's just hard. Like, I don't think we respect it enough, because I think everybody's attitude is like, just go get in the gym and shoot 1,000 shots. I'm like, it's not how that works.
No.
That's not easy at all. Like, it's not. And by the way, get 1,000 shots up and tell me you're not exhausted.
Oh my God!
Like that's hard. Like just that
As,
alone.
as a regular
like,
person, take 100 shots and tell me you're not exhausted.
we did a thing. When I went to San Antonio, so everybody does story time now, but like everybody for a while would do, okay, 100 threes, right? 20 in the 20 in the 5 spots, right?
Yeah.
The 2 corners above the break, top, right, and this and that. And so like San Antonio, kind of they challenged us. I shouldn't say us because I actually didn't do much. Let me give credit. Brett Bromeyer, Kevin Hansen were really kind of the spearheads of it, and we came up with the Spurs 100. I gotta stop saying we. I didn't do shit. They did. They came up with the Spurs 100, and it wasn't just 100 shots, 100 threes, but it was a lot of it based off movement. Right? And that was like we wanted because we understood the way the game was changing, right? It's not all just spot up threes, right? It's off the dribble, it's off the in transition, it's going from this spot to the like all of these things. They did one for guards, they created one for bigs. Like they had this whole run of it. I went through this first 100 and nearly passed out. Like it was exhausting. Like that wasn't, and I was in shape, but like it's exhausting. And we would put draft guys into the Spurs 100 for draft workouts, and it was exhausting for them. It is hard to get up a lot of shots. And now do this with the guys of I'm changing my entire body movement. Whatever it is, footwork to how you bend your knees, to how, like you talked about, like shooting, above your head and getting the full. It's so incredibly hard. Like I wish there was more respect for it.
Yeah, it's definitely very hard, but that's why the people that are really good at being able to get results out of it are the guys whose names you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Next one is from D. Bremen 5. Who are the best star players that are good at the quote-unquote little things? Example, guards that navigate screens well in D, guys who move well without the ball, bigs who set picks and aren't just looking to the dive to the basket, etc. I'll start with the obvious one. Moving without the ball. Steph Curry is the best at moving without the ball in the history of the NBA. No other person, you're never going to find someone who's better at it than him. But
yeah,
I'm curious who you think on the other ones.
Navigating screens defensively, I think Derek White is still one of the. I don't know if he qualifies as star.
That is exactly what I wrote down, where I wrote, I don't know if he qualifies as a star, but Derek White at navigating screens.
That's the guy that obviously sticks out the most. Back in the day when he still had his legs, like Chris Paul was really good about that stuff. Mm-hmm. Like when he, knee injuries and everything, then it's kind of stopped. I'm gonna just go Derek White. I think it's hard. And I think it's hard in general for stars, the way we're looking about it in terms of guards. And it's a skill that's not really kind of discussed much or taught much, in that sense. And part of it is like you don't set hard screens in practice, right? Like it's not like it's a hard it's something that's kind of taught in game, and it's really difficult.
And as I'm trying to remember who sent the question. As D. Bremen mentioned, a lot of screens are not set well in games either. A lot of times they're just like brush screens, and guys sort of rub off
there's
of those.
Brush, there's ghosts, there's like slipping, and then like there's all this stuff, and then to the big man. God, like I don't even. Who do you have as the best big man screen setting big man that qualifies in this question?
Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
Domantas Sabonis. Jokic. And then also Steph as a screener, just for guards.
Yeah.
Away from the ball.
Yeah, screening. Here's the thing, man. Like these are small skills. Like, and that's why he called it. This is a great question because these are like, right. These are the definitions of like little things, but like, it's something that we kind of don't talk about or teach enough. That I think we need to kind of start, like, this is going to be funny. The American game has lost that they need to get back to. I think is the way I would kind of look at it. Two of the guys you named are Euros. Like, it's I think screening is something that we kind of need to do a better job sort of teaching, explaining, and I think especially with guards, it's an underrated skill.
Yeah. Who do you have for something like, this is just off the top of my head, for something like closeouts are another like little thing that people probably don't talk about enough. I remember I wrote something back in the day where I talked to Jimmy Butler about closeouts for a while. It was at Grantland. I can't remember what the story was, but I talked to him about closeouts for a while and like his strategy. This is the fact that it was at Grantland lets you know how long ago this story was written. It's going back like at least 10 plus years because it folded in like 2014, 2015 or something like that. Or not folded, was killed in 2014 or 2015 or something like that.
Proper way to put it.
Yeah. But, I remember talking to Jimmy about that, and he's always been very good at those. But I'm curious if there's someone that you'd think of now, like either closing out or beating closeouts.
I want to say, like, OG does a good job getting out and closing out.
OG does a great job, yeah. He also does a great job beating them.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, man. Like, this is why I talk about, like, when people talk about this era of basketball and they don't play hard, I'm like, you don't understand, man. Like, you got to cover the paint and rotate out. That was something that they didn't have back in the 80s and 90s. Like, just miss me with all of that. Like, you had to cover more ground nowadays, and I think it's hard. I don't even know if there's that many guys that do a great job closing out.
Yeah, I think Scotty Barnes is another one that does a pretty good job.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And you could put both of those guys, Scotty and OG, in the screen navigation part two. Mm-hmm. A little bit different of the ways that they do it and a little bit different of the types of screens that they see because they're generally not like just chasing shooters around.
Yeah,
it's more like big wing stuff. But those are a couple.
You know what's going to be funny? I'm going to when we're done and because games have already started, like I'm going to sit down and I'm going to see all these things. Like, I should have named this guy. I should have named this. I'm going to be so mad at myself when we're done. But this was a good question. I like it. Because that, at the very least, going to get me thinking about it more.
Yeah. Another Aaron Gordon beating closeouts these days, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And, like, one of the best cutters in the world.
I was just about to say, his move. Anybody who plays with Jokic, you have to learn how to cut properly. Plain and simple. Because he will freaking find you wide open.
Yeah. The last one I got is from Kix Miller Wave, which is if the Knicks move Gershon Yabusele, Pacome Dadier, and or the Wizards pick, what is the wing fit that they might be able to get? And I wrote down some research for this because it's got cap implications. Yabu makes around $5.5 million. Dadier makes around $2.8 million. So combined, it's like $8.3 million. But two things. The Knicks can't take back more money than they send out in a trade because they're over the first apron. Second thing is you can't actually take back $8.3 million in a trade because the Knicks only have 14 guys on their roster. So they'd have to sign a minimum guy to replace one of the guys in the deal if they did a 2-for-1. Mm-hmm. That said, I wrote down the list of wings/forwards that make $5 to $8 million. It is not an inspiring list, especially once you account for all the guys that are not going to be traded because they're recent draft picks or they're way too good or things like that. It is not a good list.
Don't give me your whole list. Just give me like your top 5 of guys that would actually possibly be traded, not like recent, like that would possibly be traded.
Oh, see, I want to give you the whole list just so you can see how bad the list is to begin with.
Okay, go for it then. Go ahead.
So these are wings/forwards who make between $5 and $8 million. Bradley Beal, Dalen Terry, Jet Howard, Cedric Coward, Cody Williams, Cam Thomas, Jaden Hardy, John Conchar, Max Christie, Modest Buzelis, Nick Batum, Sadiq Bey, Zaire Williams, Ochai Abaji, Jalen Williams, Usman Jang, Bilal Coulibaly, Noah Essengay, Tari Eason, Jake LaRavia, Taylor Hendricks, Colin Murray Boyles, Dean Wade, Jarris Walker, Jeremy Sohan, Kenrich Williams, and Tijan Salon. All of the good guys on that list are not getting traded. Like,
No, none of them are. None of them are. But like Sohan's not even a wing to me. I wouldn't make
no.
that move if I was them. Um,
But like Jalen
Tijon
Williams not getting
Talon's
traded. Even someone like Max Christie not getting traded.
no, he's
Like,
not. Like they're not. Like that'd be a nice pickup, but they're not going to. Like Tijon Salon is probably like the closest guy, but he's actually playing pretty well as of late for Charlotte too. Like I don't know if you've caught them much. Like I don't know if I necessarily would even think Charlotte would make that move. I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think there's a move for the Knicks. Like at the
I don't
end
think
of the
there is
day,
either because really the only thing they have to trade is like this guy says is Yabusele and Dadier and the Wizards pick. The wings out there are not an inspiring list. Like maybe you're interested in Sadiq Bey. Like Nick Batum can play on the wing, but is not a wing, and also the Clippers aren't going to trade him. Like if the
Hornets
Cavs
aren't
end up
trading
in
Sadiq
pure,
Bey.
what's that?
Like the Hornets aren't trading Sadiq Bey. They gave up a draft. He was part of that trade. They like Troy Weaver loves Sadiq Bey. Like he's not trading him.
Right. Troy Weaver drafted Sadiq Bey, I believe, in
Right.
Detroit. Like the Cavs, if they end up in pure money cutting situation, then Dean Wade. But like, I don't think they're going to end up in that situation. Like Jeremy Sohan is not a wing. Najee Marshall, but you'd have to add more money. But also the Mavericks like him and got him for a reason. And look,
Yeah.
the list of big men that the Knicks might be able to go after is not better. It might be worse.
Yeah, so it's the honest thing for the Knicks. And to be honest, I wouldn't tweak anything if I was the Knicks. You just got to hope you're healthy. And I know that's a hard thing with the number of injuries. Like most of their roster has a history of injuries. You got to kind of
And they're
like, I
dealing
just
with a
don't.
bunch right now.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know if I would just go out of I wouldn't just make a trade to make the trade work. I know Yabusele hasn't really kind of been as effective, but like I just don't see a way in which they can kind of pull something off. I wouldn't mess with it.
Yeah. I think it's probably easier to move Yabusele over the summer when it's like not a year and a half left on the deal, but a year left, and you can do more things in terms of aggregating salaries, like all these players that they have the rights to, and they tend to sign these guys to like contracts at the end of the season so that they can then use them in trades over the summer. They do that basically every year, so we'll see if they do that again. But yeah, it's going to be difficult because the second year on that contract is now a net negative because of the way he's played this season and the fact that he's either not in the rotation or barely in the rotation, depending on the night. And like maybe Mohamed Diawara, who's been playing for them recently, can turn into a guy who can give you 8 minutes in a playoff game.
Well, the one thing is at least they have a coach who will actually play the guys, and will figure that stuff out. So
that is true.
That's the good news there. That was the last question, correct?
That was the last question. We got more important things to worry about because tonight, in about 3.5 hours from when we're recording this, Miami's playing Ohio State, man, and I'm so excited and so not nervous, but like jacked up, but not like it's like a combination of nervous and excited at the same time. Like it's going to be a great game. I'm extremely proud of the team to have gotten here. Like just to watch one more game and to be in this position where we're in the playoffs is really fun. And like if we can pull this off and beat Ohio State, that would just be pretty incredible and just a cherry on top of what's been a very good season so far. And you know, if you lose to one of the two best teams in the country, this is the number 2 team in the country, like what are you going to do? But it's been really fun. I'm excited to watch Ruben Bain and Francis Maui Noah and Akeem Mesidor and all these guys play for at least one more game. I'm excited to see Malachi Toney back out there, obviously, and 2 more years at a minimum to see Malachi Toney. I'm excited to see if Carson Beck can recapture some of what he did over the last 4 games of the regular season rather than last week when we were playing in like 25-mile-an-hour winds. This game is inside at Jerry World and AT&T Stadium in Dallas, so the conditions for passing offense should be significantly better than they were in that game at Texas A&M. But I'm excited, man. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. I think college football is a stupid sport. Don't really want to go into much more detail than that. Wish you luck Jared. And
It's going to sound really dumb if people are listening to this tomorrow and being like, why was this guy excited about Miami against Ohio State? Unless we win, then it's like he should have been way more excited.
You get to be excited. And because otherwise you'd be like my team, who lost in overtime on 3rd and 20 screen pass, and we couldn't not only not tackle the guy, push him out of bounds. And by the way, we had the ball on the 2-yard line and had to go for a field goal. Lost our defensive coordinator to start the day before the game to Penn State. Who, by the way, I'm not like okay, like this had been coming. It was it's just not fun right now for USC football fans. And we're getting dragged on the internet, and rightfully so. The way we lost, it was fun. You want to laugh, Jared? Going into overtime, I texted my friends at my USC friends, our little chat group. So, man, I don't care about the result. I'm good with how the team played. It was fun, like we blew a 10-point lead. Like defense isn't very good, anyways. But whatever. Like 12 guys out, 12 starters. And then we lost in overtime, and I texted them going, like, I lied. This is, like, I'm annoyed. Like, and I've been, like, we're at, like, 12-something hours now. Beyond that, maybe 15 hours. I'm still kind of annoyed. Still fighting people about USC Notre Dame on the internet. I need to log off.
Obviously.
It's just stupid.
At least my habit's coming back for another year.
Yeah, no, the thing is, I should feel more excited going into next year, but this shitty bowl game is such a sour taste in our mouth, and it's like
I know exactly that feeling based on like every Miami bowl game since I was in college.
Yeah, so and then it's all the Lincoln Riley's a fraud stuff, and all like it's just like fuck, okay. I'm just focused on getting a good defensive coordinator because it's my decision, Jared. I actually make all the calls.
That's exciting that you get to make those calls.
Yeah, I get to handle all that stuff. But that's it for us. Thank you, everybody, for rocking with us all through 2025. Obviously,
yes.
We wish everybody the very best for 2026. Keep supporting us. Keep reviewing, and subscribing to the podcast. Check us out on YouTube. If you watched us on video today, I'm sorry that you watched me scarf down a malasada, but I had to. It was fresh and hot, and it was good. And I know most of y'all won't understand, but one day I hope you guys do. Jared, thank you for rounding up the questions. Everybody, thank you for the questions. And a Happy New Year to you, buddy.
Happy New Year to you as well. And I'll do it this time. Thank you for listening to the Double Dribble podcast.
See y'all.